What if I told you that misplaced trust can be one of the biggest mistakes you'll ever make in life? It's painful to realize that not everyone who smiles at you has good intentions. Over time, I've come to understand that trust isn't something you give away lightly. It's something people must earn. Through my own experiences and lessons rooted in Stoic philosophy, I've identified 7 types of people you should never trust. These insights change the way I approach relationships, and I believe they can change yours too. Why trust matters. Trust is one of the most valuable currencies in human relationships. Without it, no relationship, whether personal or professional, can thrive. But the truth is, not everyone is worthy of your trust. I've learned this the hard way, through painful experiences with people who betrayed my confidence or acted in ways I never expected. As the Stoics teach, trust should be built on a foundation of character and virtue. They believed that actions, not words, reveal a person's true nature. And I've found that to be absolutely true. When you trust someone unworthy, you're essentially handing them the keys to harm your peace of mind, your emotional well-being, and sometimes even your future. It's not about being cynical or distrusting everyone. It's about being cautious and selective. The world is filled with people who wear masks, people who seem kind, supportive, or dependable, but turn out to have hidden agendas. My goal is to help you recognize these 7 types of people before they disrupt your life. Let's dive in. 1. The chronic liar. The first type of person you should never trust is the chronic liar. These individuals have a habit of bending the truth to fit their narrative. And the worst part? They do it so effortlessly that it's often hard to catch them in the act. I've dealt with chronic liars in both friendships and professional relationships, and the pattern is always the same. They tell you what you want to hear, not what's real. At first, their lies may seem harmless, a little exaggeration here, a small omission there. But over time, the lies start to pile up, and you realize they've built an entire web of deception. The Stoics valued truth as one of the highest virtues, believing that honesty was essential for meaningful connections. When someone lies, they undermine the very foundation of trust, making it impossible to rely on them. So how do you spot a chronic liar? Look for inconsistencies in their stories. For example, I once had a colleague who constantly made excuses for missing deadlines. One day it was a family emergency. The next, it was a sudden illness. At first I sympathized, but eventually I realized that their stories never added up. Chronic liars often struggle to keep track of their lies, and this is where you can catch them. When you notice someone lying, even about small things, take it as a warning sign. If they can't be truthful about the little things, how can you expect them to be honest about the big ones? Trust, once broken, is incredibly hard to rebuild. So, when you identify a chronic liar in your life, it's best to keep your distance. 2. The overpromiser. The second type of person to avoid trusting is the overpromiser. These individuals are full of grand declarations but rarely follow through. They might promise to support you, help you achieve a goal, or be there when you need them, but when the time comes, they're nowhere to be found. I've encountered this type more times than I'd like to admit, and it's always disappointing. The Stoics emphasized the importance of action over words. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Overpromisers, however, rely on words to build trust, but their actions tell a different story. They often make promises to gain your favor or to appear reliable, but their lack of follow-through reveals their true nature. One personal experience stands out to me. I once relied on a friend who promised to help me with an important project. They reassured me repeatedly, saying, "Don't worry, I've got this." But as the deadline approached, they vanished. No calls, no texts, nothing. I ended up scrambling to finish the work alone, feeling betrayed and foolish for trusting them. To identify an overpromiser, pay attention to patterns. Do they consistently make commitments they fail to keep? Are their words always bigger than their actions? Trusting someone like this can leave you feeling let down and frustrated. Instead, value people who don't just talk about doing the right thing, they actually do it. 3. The manipulator. Manipulators are some of the most dangerous people you'll encounter, and they should never, ever have your trust. These individuals use subtle tactics to control you, often by playing on your emotions. I've been in situations where I didn't even realize I was being manipulated until it was too late. Manipulators are masters at making you feel guilty or indebted, twisting situations to suit their needs. Stoicism teaches us to act with reason and not let our emotions cloud our judgment. Manipulators, however, thrive on emotional reactions. They know how to push your buttons to get what they want, whether it's your time, your resources, or your loyalty. For instance, I once trusted someone who constantly played the victim. They'd come to me with stories of how everyone else had wronged them, making me feel sorry for them. I went out of my way to help, only to realize they were using me to do their work or solve their problems while they took credit. Manipulators are skilled at making you feel responsible for their happiness, but it's a one-sided arrangement. To protect yourself, be aware of guilt-tripping, excessive flattery, or anyone who seems too eager to influence your decisions. Trust should be based on mutual respect, not emotional blackmail. When you spot manipulation, step back and evaluate the relationship with a clear head. 4. The gossip monger. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this. If someone gossips to you, they'll gossip about you. Gossip mongers thrive on spreading rumors and tearing others down, often under the guise of just sharing information. At first, it might seem harmless or even entertaining, but over time you'll realize how toxic it truly is. The Stoics believed in the power of silence and thoughtful speech. As Epictetus said, "Keep silence for the most part, and speak only when you must, and then briefly." Gossip mongers, however, do the exact opposite. They talk excessively, often about things that don't concern them, and in doing so, they erode trust and create unnecessary drama. I once trusted someone who constantly brought me juicy updates about mutual friends. It felt like I was getting insider information, but I later discovered they were sharing my private conversations with others in the same way. It was a harsh lesson, but it taught me to avoid people who can't keep a secret. When you interact with a gossip monger, remember that their behavior reflects their character. Distance yourself from such individuals, and instead, surround yourself with people who value integrity and discretion. 5. The self-serving opportunist. Self-serving opportunists are those who stick around only as long as they can benefit from you. These people aren't in your life for who you are. They're there for what you can offer. I've encountered this type before, and let me tell you, it's a bitter pill to swallow. These individuals know how to mask their intentions, making you believe they genuinely care about you. But the moment you stop being useful to them, they're gone without a second thought. The Stoics teach us to build relationships based on mutual respect and genuine connection, not utility. True friends and trustworthy people are those who stay by your side during your highs and your lows, not just when things are going well. Opportunists, on the other hand, will vanish when you're no longer beneficial to them. In one particular instance, I had a friend who always needed my help, whether it was for advice, resources, or even connections. I willingly helped them, believing it was a mutually supportive friendship. But when I faced a challenging time and reached out for help, they conveniently became too busy. That's when I realized our relationship was one-sided. They weren't there for me. They were there for what I could provide. To spot an opportunist, pay attention to how they behave when you're in need. Do they offer help, or do they find excuses to back out? Trusting such people can leave you feeling used and betrayed. Focus on relationships that are built on reciprocity, where both sides give and take equally. Trust is far too precious to waste on those who are only looking out for themselves. 6. The hypocrite. Hypocrisy is one of the biggest trust breakers you'll encounter in people. A hypocrite is someone who says one thing and does another. They demand loyalty, honesty, and respect from others, but they fail to offer the same in return. I've dealt with hypocrites who preached about values like integrity and kindness, but acted in ways that completely contradicted their words. It's frustrating, but it's also eye-opening. The Stoics emphasize the importance of aligning your words and actions. Marcus Aurelius wrote, Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Hypocrites fail to embody this principle, and their inconsistency makes them untrustworthy. One personal experience stands out. I worked with someone who constantly criticized others for being late to meetings, yet they were the one who was always late themselves. They demanded perfection from everyone else but excused their own shortcomings. Hypocrites often hold others to high standards while conveniently ignoring those same standards when it comes to their own behavior. To identify a hypocrite, observe whether their actions align with their words. If there's a noticeable gap between the two, take it as a red flag. Trusting a hypocrite can lead to disappointment, as their lack of consistency makes them unreliable. Surround yourself with people who live by the principles they preach, and you'll build stronger, more authentic connections. 7. The emotionally unstable. This one might be controversial, but it's important to address. People who are emotionally unstable can be unpredictable and even harmful to your peace of mind. I'm not saying we should lack compassion for those struggling with their emotions. We all have difficult moments. But when someone's emotional instability becomes a recurring pattern, trusting them blindly can lead to chaos. Stoic philosophy teaches us to value emotional balance and rationality. An emotionally unstable person, however, may lash out, make impulsive decisions, or create unnecessary drama. I've had relationships with people who were kind and caring one moment, but hostile and irrational the next. Walking on eggshells around someone is not a healthy way to live. One example from my life involved a close acquaintance who would swing between extremes, overly affectionate one day and accusatory the next. Their behavior was exhausting, and I constantly felt like I was in a storm without shelter. While I cared about them, I realized that trusting someone who can't regulate their emotions was harming my well-being. To manage relationships with emotionally unstable individuals, set clear boundaries. You can support them without entrusting them with responsibilities that require stability and consistency. Protecting your peace doesn't make you unkind. It makes you wise. Trust should be reserved for those who bring calm and reliability into your life. Trust, as the Stoics teach, is not something to be given away freely. It's earned through actions, character, and consistency. By recognizing these 7 types of people, you can avoid the pain of betrayal and the chaos of misplaced trust. My personal experiences have taught me that being selective with trust isn't about being distrustful. It's about protecting your peace and building meaningful connections. The Stoics believed that true relationships are built on virtues like honesty, respect, and reliability. When you prioritize these values, you'll naturally gravitate toward people who enrich your life rather than drain it. Remember, trust is one of the most valuable gifts you can offer someone. Give it wisely. As you reflect on the people in your life, ask yourself, are they deserving of your trust? And more importantly, are their actions aligned with their words? By applying these lessons, you'll create a stronger, more fulfilling circle of relationships that support your growth and happiness.